Good morning, dreamers. How are you today? Like my new mug? So I woke up this morning thinking about how really great yesterday evening was. Well, yesterday altogether, like I was with friends at church in the morning, but then yesterday evening was a very key football game with a friend of mine who cheers for the 49ers and us cheering for the Packers. And so they came over. We had pots of chili and a cheese dip and just some fun. And it just reminded me this morning that there's a time for all of these things. There's a time, and my holy text and many um, pro- proverbial texts will talk about how life is cyclical and there's a time for certain things at certain times. And so, Ecclesiastes 3, there's a whole list of there's a time for this and a time for that, time for this, time for that, time for this, time to that. And verse 4 talks about how there is a time for everything, a time to cry and a time, um, I'll read it, a time to laugh, a time to grieve, and a time to dance. And um, you can see that play out in a football game because one team it's their time to dance and one team it's their time to grieve. But it's a micro cosm of life in general, and there's this push and pull of emotion, of effort, tension, all of that. And how do we live in that space um, without being angry at the other side? Like they all gave each other hugs and high fives and everything else after the game was over. And they went right back to the locker room to talk about what went well and what went wrong. And they didn't stay in that spot. They moved on to what time was it now. And we are headed in towards Advent at the end of this week. And Advent is a set aside part of time where we can consciously slow down. Our world speeds up right now. There's concerts to go to, there's school events that your kids have to be ready for, there's gifts you have to purchase or you think you have to purchase, there are meals that you have to make, there's places you got to go and things you got to see. The world picks up pace. The calendar has so much stuff on it, but it's actually supposed to be a time where we slow down and we take stock and we get ready for those who are of the Judeo-Christian traditions. There is Hanukkah coming up at the end of December. There is Christmas coming up at the end of December. There are other holidays all around this season. And the point is we should be slowing down. Holiday is a form of the phrase holy day, or the descriptive words holy day. And these should be holy times, quiet times, set aside times of just breathing for a little bit, focusing. As a Christian, I prepare my spirit to really focus on what are we celebrating in this holy time. And I'm determined that this year I will not lose my smile. I will not lose my joy. There is a time for grief, a time for crying, but there's also a time for joy and a time for laughter and a time for really dumb Christmas movies. There's a time for all of these things. So my proposed challenge at Grandma's table today is to take the time. Take the time to grieve if Christmas is not going to be super fun for you. Take the time to celebrate with people. Find your crew. And if you are struggling with the season, you need to be more conscious of that than ever before. Go do something fun, even if it's the first time you've ever done it. Do something new and joyful. Set aside time to turn all all the devices off and read Dickens' A Christmas Carol. If you've never done that before because you've only ever seen the Disney version or the Muppet Christmas Carol. Set time aside to take care of you in the process and to calm your spirit and to slow your roll. Take the time. You are worth the time. The world you live in is worth the time. And our world doesn't give us time this season. It takes our time. But do your best. And if that means that you have to say no to something, say no. It's okay. This mama gives you permission to say no, if you have to, in order to take the time. So keep your feet on the ground, your head in the clouds, and please know that I love you. See you next time. Bye.